Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brock. We're somehow awake after that episode of HBO's Hard Knocks with the Arizona Cardinals. I hope you're all awake, too. We're going to have a discussion about it. I'm going to throw it to my co-host first for his initial reception as we've digested the 45 minutes of man, that was like vanilla paint on the wall. And I love Will Hernandez and Antonio Hamilton, but
sure.
Good hell. Bo texted me during the show, by the way, and I'm just going to read a blurb of his caption. You would never know what this team was actually like by watching what we just watched. That was a perfect encapsulation, my friend.
Yeah, it's trying to appeal to a national audience, but you're not telling the entire story as far as this Arizona Cardinals team goes. And my thought on this episode is nothing piqued my interest. It was what was not shown, which I was interested in watching this episode. But we all know the phrase "jumping the shark," right? Where Fonzie infamously put on water skis and jumped over a shark, and it's the phrase that people say when something just kind of runs out of storylines.
Did that start the phrase "jumping the shark"?
Yeah.
That's where it came from. Okay.
Yeah. So Happy Days ran out of storylines. So they put Fonzie on some water skis and he jumped over a fucking shark. And that's where if any show just kind of runs out of ideas, people say they jumped the shark. They went too far. And I think at this point, we might be at that crossroads with Hard Knocks after watching tonight, not seeing the Eno Benjamin story play out. We heard one line from Liev Schreiber, the narrator, as far as offensive line coach and run game coordinator Sean Kugler, who was relieved of his duties and sent home Monday morning. And then they showed a little bit more. I think it was, Fox 10. They had like 2 seconds of them reporting on it at the end. And then Cliff apologizing on behalf of the coaching staff there for Kugler, making, what did he say? Dumb shit. No longer will I have you guys have to answer questions with the media about dumb shit that was either done about, off the field or also about effort.
I'd be like, hey, Cliff, the dumb shit has come from 2 of your coaches too. Like, that's not controllable. Yeah. If I'm, James Conner or Budda Baker, that we'll get into that. Here's what I will say. Dylan Richards, great point. Does Kyler Murray play for this team? I have more airtime on Hard Knocks than Kyler Murray does, and I'm not on the show. He was not featured at all this week. That was so premeditated that they're like, what can we grab? It was like, if you've ever worked in, TV or radio, it's like, we got to grab, we need some filler, right? Something that you will never see from this show, by the way, filler. And if it's worth talking about, we're going to talk about it. But it was just like puff piece after puff piece after puff piece. And we've had HBO on and we want to prop this show up.
Yeah.
Man, was I watching the team site? Because that's what it felt like. Was I watching? Flight Plan does a great job in the offseason. I love Flight Plan. You guys have seen it on YouTube. That was an episode of Flight Plan with a little bit of cursing, right? That was aired on HBO.
I mean, here's the true, but points to that there was numerous things taken out that they could have put it. The episode was 45 minutes. It was 45 minutes. Normally it's up over 50 minutes. It's approaching a full hour, 45 minutes. Boom. You were in and out of there. Is that our fault? Tell me right now. Do you think that was because of us?
I do.
I hope that doesn't come off egotistical. It's not something that we wanted, that we anticipated. We asked the story. We asked a question that was very important to our audience. They wanted to know. It was such a puzzling situation regarding Eno Benjamin, a fan favorite, started at Arizona State. And then on Monday, after a win, after playing one snap, he was sent packing. He was sent out the door. So we said, you asked the director of Hard Knocks. He said, well, it wasn't showed last week. Will we see it next week? Basically paraphrasing for the most part, but he said it's going to be must watch. And then I followed up and said, you've been in a lot of locker rooms. What you witnessed, was it shocking to you? And he said, yeah, it was shocking. And then a whole shitstorm comes out after that. You and I are dealing on things, behind the scenes with our show. And then other outlets around Arizona, they're picking up on them. Bobby Mack and AZ Central, they dig into it. They're asking questions about, what footage they may or may not have about Eno. And then they start saying that they don't have anything. And then the episode tonight aired, comes and goes. No mention of Eno Benjamin, nothing at all. I mean, he wasn't mentioned in the last 2 episodes on a major storyline that was going on surrounding this team that impacts this team and its fan base. It was never even mentioned. The Kugler stuff was addressed very minimally.
Because they had to. They couldn't double down because they weren't going to show the Eno stuff. So they did the bare minimum with Kugler, and they didn't depict what happened at all. They just say he was dismissed from the team. They glossed over it before the game. They didn't talk about, I want to see behind the scenes stuff. I want to see Cliff talking to cops. I want to see Cliff talking to players that morning, like, Kugler's gone. Here's what we got to do. It's a shitstorm. This is what's going to happen. Get people behind the scenes, mic'd up. That's what it should be. That's what we were sold that it was going to happen. We were almost given, if you didn't live in this market, you probably think, oh, that's kind of interesting. But we're in this market. Bo, you're at practice every day. You're at the press conference every day. What we saw on Hard Knocks, you could get that from Bo Brock's Twitter every day. You should just tune into Bo Brock and PHNX Cardinals Twitter every day, because you got, I would argue, more than what we just saw on Hard Knocks. And again, we did not come out. We wanted to like the episode this week. Mm-hmm. We've dealt with some shit behind the scenes. It is what it is. We still think the world of everybody at HBO and whatever. And we wanted to come in this episode and prop it up. And I'm like, here's your opportunity, because everybody's throwing darts at this right now and saying, this is puff piece. This is public access. This is an ad for the team. Prove us wrong. Right. And they doubled down on it. It unless they felt like this episode's already lost cause, but you only get so many of these. And this is very much like a guinea pig. You've done this twice. I don't know how the Colts situation was well received. I didn't watch it last year. I don't care about the Indianapolis Colts and Carson Wentz, but man, you were in the news for the wrong reasons this week. You better churn out a banger of an episode. And it was just let's dig down deep in the library of just snooze fest. I literally was on my phone the entire episode. I'm like, I know all this shit already. This is boring.
Yeah, it was like, hey, let's get a real inside glimpse of who this person is. Let's talk to their mom. Let's get the real scoop of who this person is. Let's see. Let's air out all the dirty laundry. It's like, well, he finished 7th place in his wrestling competition and all these really nice things. But in reality, you're a scumbag. They're not showing anything that makes you who you are and why people have their frustrations with you. And believe me, this fan base is about as frustrated as it possibly could be. And this just adds on top of it. It piles up, how the lack of self-awareness as an organization
zero
to say, hey, maybe we'll just let this be shown. And one of the 2 things that have happened in the last 2 weeks, and give them some insight.
This comment, this says it all. Not to interrupt you. I love Will Hernandez. I think he's a great ambassador for the Latino community and this game. It's a shame he couldn't play. How long did that dinner scene go on? They were at dinner half
crickets. Oh my God, they ate crickets? No way.
What are we watching? This literally felt like a YouTube special from the team. Oh my God. Johnny live, we move. I don't know what that means, but I'm not living right now. I'm snoozing. I'm falling asleep, brother. Ask Keim about, no, we're not going to do that. As long as Keim is the GM, the Cardinals won't be winning anytime soon with Cliff or without. But the Keim's not. This is not a Keim issue. This is a Cardinals. We have the answer to our question, because the number one question we had coming into this show was, how much input are the Cardinals going to have? The Cardinals are going to have a lot of input on what's aired. And
they're fucking Scorsese in this thing.
Right. This is Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios. They're cutting everything up. They're going through it, frame by frame. Yeah. We have had 2 people from HBO on our show, and both times have been, as they should, we're praising universally Keim and Michael Bidwell on the access, and they're working together. I mean, how could you watch this team and think that what they actually are? If you didn't follow the team, you would never know.
Yeah. I want to get to this comment from Marcos, but first, let me tell you about something that you really want to watch after, watching that Puff piece tonight. What you really want to watch is the World Cup, and you want to see the U.S. men's team. You want to see Mexico. You want to see both those teams play. Competition coming up soon. After Thanksgiving, you got a game on tap for the U.S. They're taking on England. You want to go watch that game? Reserve your spot today. Enjoy beer specials, giveaways, guest appearances, and more. $3 kilt lifters, $3 wow pints. We're hosting every U.S.-Mexico World Cup match at Four Peaks, us PHNX, 22-foot screen. Next match, Black Friday. Festivities begin at 11. Mexico versus Argentina. You want to watch Messi trying to bounce back against Mexico. That's the next day. That's on Saturday at 11 a.m. The atmosphere has been absolutely electric. There's nothing here that we're trying to sugarcoat. It's an actual great event. You got to get yourself in. Just hit the link in the show notes in the description. You can find it. Register for your free tickets. Free tickets. If you tried to watch the U.S. the other day or Mexico, you were fighting for anywhere to sit. And at Four Peaks, you can get your seat today. Just register for free in the show notes here. If you're listening to the podcast, you can find them there as well. Also, want to tell you about some, was it OG's brands? Yeah, OG's maybe made that watchable tonight. It could take you into some different spots, right? OG's, They got something for everybody. Unless you take their sleep time gummy, because we wouldn't even be talking to you if I took one of those. I would have been snoozing. I would have been in La La Land, and OJ's would have been flavoring my dreams. They've got also other products that you can tap into. Check them out, ogsbrands.com. ogsbrands.com. They got the orange creamsicle. They got all these different fruit flavors, something for everyone. Someone can always use OG's. It's a perfect stocking stuffer. You want to maybe bust them out after the Thanksgiving dinner table. Perfect. OG's, do it. As always, you can find them in your local dispensary. Got to be 21 years or older to enjoy, and also find them on the gram at OG's Brands.
You wanted to get to a question. There's so many questions. People are obviously upset. Can't wait for Hard Knocks tonight. Hashtag nothing ever happened. That's a great one. Clay Combe also says, does anyone hate Cliff even more after watching this episode? No, because I think it just gives us more context. Like, he's talking to Max Williams at the end of the game. It's like, you got to keep the guys up after this. Number one, Max Williams is on the practice squad. Like, keeping the guys up. He's on the active roster now because Ertz got hurt. But, like, Cliff, that's your job, man. And then, like, don't feed the media any more reason for us to be embarrassed. Like, that's your staff. Talk to your staff. Yeah, Hollywood got a ticket before the season, but I mean, the players have been basically on their best behavior during the season. Your coaches keep committing horrific acts that have led to their dismissal from the team, Cliff. Yeah. And actions reflect leadership. And you think this would be happening with Mr. Sean Payton? You think this would be happening under Bill Belichick? Come on, man. You got coaches that are running wild in Mexico City. We didn't see any of that, but I don't know. It feels like boilerplate coach speak, plug and play. I could search for it on an algorithm on Google and just make a coach. Yeah. And that's what I see. It's like it looks like? It looks like an EA Sports cutscene is what Cliff Kingsbury's speeches look like. It looks like a Madden you're coaching during the season cutscene. That's what I thought at the end of the show.
I'd sent you in our GM Saul Bookman a speech from Todd Bowles, former defensive coordinator from the Cardinals, now head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former coach of the Jets, and a speech he had to his team. And I was like, I would have a tough time imagining Cliff conjuring up and delivering a speech anywhere the caliber that Bowles delivered to his Tampa Bay Bucs team. They've gone through their own struggles this season offensively, just trying to win games in a wide open NFC. Now let's get to this. Let's get to the spicy stuff. Before the episode aired tonight, Eno Benjamin, former Arizona Cardinals running back, said this: can't wait for Hard Knocks tonight. This was on Twitter. Hashtag nothing ever happened. And yeah, I mean, if you watch the show, you didn't even, like I said, last 2 weeks, they haven't even mentioned anything about Eno Benjamin. This doesn't even validate Eno Benjamin. Like, it just wasn't addressed at all.
Eno needs to say what happens. I doubt it. I think Eno just kind of wants to put his head down and try to play good football with Houston. If this is how the show is going to be, then it should just be a training camp show.
I didn't even know that you didn't even get the sense they were losing that bad in the game. They were down 31-10.
It was like the Super Bowl, man. It was like back and forth affair. Nope, actually they lost by almost 40 points. It was an embarrassment, and they're good though. They're good to go. All their players are elite. They're all going to the Hall of Fame, and yeah, this is just a normal season. Just normal season. Everything's fine. Well, actually, you have had two off the field incidents that you refuse to cover, and the team has basically quit. And Buda Baker said as much in the post-game press conference, which Cliff alluded to, but coincidentally, they didn't show that either. How can you not show that when Buda was animated, basically saying like guys didn't play hard at the end of the game? Like, why? What that we all saw that. Put that in there. Why wouldn't they put that in there? Because like, do you think it's a thing where HBO's worried about viewership? Like the last 6 weeks, like you can only watch a car crash for so long, but like the crescendo, like at some point they're going to need to do like a bi-week visit with Kyler, and they'll probably have him go to like a children's hospital, and it'll probably be like a puff piece, which is great. I want Kyler to do those things. That's not why I tune into Hard Knocks for. I tune into Hard Knocks to get something I wouldn't get anywhere else. And this is literally boilerplate stuff that you could get. Yeah, I think it speaks to like NFL Films has evolved and team coverage has evolved and media has evolved. That's awesome. So maybe it's a case where just Hard Knocks in season is just a big disaster.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I watched the Colts, but I didn't watch it from the perspective of kind of knowing what was truly going on and surrounding that organization. Obviously, they've got an owner that can sometimes be erratic, right? In Jim Irsay, and they had a head coach that was fired before the end of this season, and last year was one that kind of led to his demise. I don't think that they really went in hard on Carson Wentz and what truly kind of, if you watched that season, you would have known that they needed him exiled pretty much immediately after. So maybe it's something that I haven't been paying attention to closely enough by not being as tapped in to the respective franchise that's being featured on Hard Knocks, whether it's leading up to a regular season or whether it's in season. I mean, this is the only second season of in season. I mean, we've seen guys get shown the door. We've seen guys get cut. We've seen guys like Chad Johnson deal with, I think it was an alleged domestic issue when he was cut by the Dolphins. They covered that. And that's why, like, I wonder, like, what happened between then and now to where they're not as, hard hitting with their coverage.
Howard, it's not journalism. It's not reality TV. It's supposed to be reality TV. It's advertising. Now, is it good advertising? I wouldn't even say, like, if I'm watching this as an average fan, this doesn't make me want to become a Cardinal fan. This is what I watched tonight was very niche. This was almost like for friends and family of the team. Like, hey, check it out. Watch this. It's like home movies, right? But there's a big demographic that's not being served here. Let's see here. We'll get to some more of these comments here in a second, but I want to remind everybody, Underdog Fantasy, it's going to be a hell of a lot more exciting than whatever we just watched. You can dive into Underdog Fantasy tomorrow on Thanksgiving and cash in big time. All you got to do, enter a $1 max on your pick'em entry. If you hit all 5 of your picks, you hit $100, and all you have to do is $1 on Dak Prescott's passing yards, and you can pick any other 4 bets that you want. Dak is the only NFL pick that's needed. This boost can be paired with anything outside of Thanksgiving Thursday. So you can bet on the NBA, you can bet on, goodness, I would imagine the World Cup, and all new users and current users alike can take advantage of this one-time offer, 100% boost. So easy to get started. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com, download the app, sign up with promo code PHNX. Underdog Fantasy is going to match your first deposit up to $100. We use Underdog Fantasy on the reg. It's our favorite fantasy football app. I am so over those year-long fantasy apps. I love playing daily fantasy. I love doing it with Underdog Fantasy. I also love cheap tickets. And right now, you could think to yourself, they can't get much cheaper at State Farm Stadium. You would be wrong. You can get them as cheap as up to 60+% off when you buy them on the Game Time app. It's the best way to support us. Buying your tickets through the show link below. Again, I've got friends and family who've gone to State Farm Stadium for a song using the Game Time app. I'm talking about premium seats, 50-yard line for sub $200. Check it out now ahead of Cardinals Chargers this weekend. All right, drama sells. HBO would want all the drama out there. The Cardinals are censoring everything. If you're part of the organization and you work in media relations, or you're in, the owner's box or whatever, you would think that the pushback is significant based on the fact that maybe the viewership wouldn't be great. And I'll couple that, Bo, by saying this, or I should say preface that by saying this. The Cardinals probably thought that they were going to be competitive this year, and this show would be a good way to show their culture, which was so often questioned at the end of last year. Kingsbury's a fraud that collapses. Kyler Murray's a gamer. Let's get rid of all of that, and let's show the other side of the Cardinals. And instead, it was like you open up the hood of the trunk and everything's on fire. And now instead of showing it for what it is and at least being honest with your fan base and everybody else, fire extinguisher out and just kind of glossed over it. That's how it feels like to me.
Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't without, opportunities to at least do it, to tell the story and not even have to dive in. Like, I think they could have done, because they showed at the beginning of the episode, going through each position group room, that they could have shown the running back room, or they had Steve Keim talking to the coaching staff. They could have addressed the Eno and just said, Eno's no longer with it. They could have just said that, and that would have been it, right? Boom. There you go. They didn't even do us that. And I just feel like that's such a glaring omission for this, that it might just solely any of the integrity of the entire season. And it's not, and it has nothing to do with us as far as what was told to us, it would be shown and what wasn't shown. But I mean, they had an opportunity.
Let me interrupt you. Do you think, had we not had the director on the show last week, and I had not asked that question, and you hadn't followed up, do you think something Eno Benjamin related would have been in the episode?
I think so.
Yeah,
don't you?
Too. Yeah.
I mean, I think they were excited about it. They were going
to touch on something, but then the fact that maybe the director went so far in on it being shocking, and he over teased it to the point where people caught wind of it. But I think we would have gotten something. And to your point, the runtime was 15 minutes shorter than it usually is.
It was. And then how about, they didn't even show Sean Kugler like they did. They featured him pretty much last week talking his position group. And then they showed the assistant. They had the assistant offensive lineman speaking to the O-line group, in Natkin leading the O-line meeting. You saw, I mean, Kugler was sitting next to where he was standing. So there's that. That stood out to me. It was just very strange. But it was also, I didn't feel blindsided by it. It wasn't something that was unexpected, right? I mean, we kind of got this sense like, hey, this is going to be a very light episode, and it was right on brand with that.
Think about, probably they thought before the season, this is our coronation. We're going to go to Mexico City, and in front of a demographic that loves the Cardinals, we're going to have a win, and it's going to be the crescendo of Hard Knocks, or it's going to be one of our favorite episodes, and we're going to follow Will Hernandez. That was probably always planned. And instead, it's like you had two ugly scenes for different reasons, and your team is terrible, and you got blown out. So how can we gloss over this as much as possible? I would be embarrassed if I had to stamp on that tonight. That's embarrassing to call that. Considering what we've come to expect from Hard Knocks, if this was the first ever Hard Knocks season ever, then we're like, okay, at face value, we know what we're getting now. And I mean, Dan Bickley said it earlier this week, and I have to agree with him now. It's a little bit of propaganda. It feels like propaganda for the team. It does not tell the true story at all of what's going on. And I would be tempted to say that it's disrespectful to the acumen of the fan base, because you're watching something that you know is just not true.
Right.
Because you read everything and you watch it with your eyes, and you get our opinion because we're factual and we're honest because we want to be. And that's what PHNX is. But then you look at national reporters and you just get, this is what's happening there. And then you would assume that HBO, a third party, would do the same. And it's not. It's not.
Right. Or local reporters that are just buying hook, line, and sinker, what they're being fed. Like, oh yeah, I believe there's nothing. It's like
you're in the water for the franchise. We will praise this franchise when it's worth praising something.
Yeah.
But right now, how could you do that?
Because then when opportunities come like this to grow your brand nationally, grow to speak to people who aren't necessarily Cardinals fans and would never think about it otherwise, to get to be in somebody's living room and then it just be this, really watered down drivel of stuff that cliches of stuff you've seen that doesn't match up what their record is and match up with the headlines that are surrounding this team and impacting this team. It's just disingenuous. It really is. And it's inauthentic, and it's really unfortunate. Like, where do you? I want to get your answer on this. Maybe it's murdered your love for Hard Knocks. It's possible, right? Could it be revived? I'm going to get the answer from Johnny here in just a minute. But also, if you're thirsty, let's murder your thirst. Let's do it with our new partner, our favorite partner. Let's talk about Liquid Death. Liquid Death is killing it. What is Liquid Death? It sounds pretty metal, doesn't it? It's mountain spring water from the Alps. You would never have guessed that, right? I mean, that it's this refreshing mountain spring water, but it's called Liquid Death. It sounds like it's a heavy metal band, but instead it's getting you hydrated. It's making you feel better. It's making you just murder your thirst. And also, they're murdering plastic pollution. They're donating 10% of their profits for every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. And it's not just like mountain spring water. It's the sparkling water. It's the stuff you see all over the shelves at Target, Sprouts, Fry's, where you see just different competing brands like Bubbly and I think LaCroix. But Liquid Death is the best. I can tell you that for sure. Get free shipping on all the water and merch at liquiddeath.com/PHNX. That's liquiddeath.com/PHNX. Like I said, you can find them. The big tall boy cans, they look like beers, but they're actually mountain spring water, sparkling water. You can find them local Target, Fry's, or Sprouts. All right. You going to watch Hard Knocks going forward?
We're going to make a decision here as a group. You're part of the round table here, everybody in the chat. We after week 1, we're pretty excited to do these post-game shows. They're on life support right now. If we get fed another episode like that, maybe we discontinue this series. We'll have to talk to our GM, Saul Bookman. But to Howard, what happened with Eno, we don't know. Because supposedly there aren't enough cameras to be able to document it, even though it was clearly so shocking. And the director felt as much to say that on our show, our program, that I guess it got lost in the shuffle.
Do you think it was surprising or shocking in the sense that he didn't do enough to merit it from what they saw? You think that's what he could have meant?
Anything would have been better than what I watched tonight. That's how literally you can have if you have like multiple blocks to your show, you can have one puff piece, inside look, player's life, blah, blah. That should have been all Will Hernandez. I love Antonio Hamilton. That felt like that could have been mixed in maybe in the Saints game we had the pick. That felt weird to have. It almost felt like maybe they shot that for a different week and they had to pump it into this week. Because that didn't feel organic. Like Antonio Hamilton didn't play well this week. He gave up a touchdown. I know he was mic'd up. He had a really good game against the Rams last week. That almost felt like we need some stock footage. Plug it in there. And they told us they do that. They have extra footage they can plug and play. Clay Colm, you're right. They pulled some footage tonight. They altered the episode. And
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Jalen Blair, did Hard Knocks decline to give you a guest this week? They didn't decline. They just didn't provide it. And
okay. We're on Thanksgiving Eve. I'm not going to read too far into it, but it's the first week without a guest. So I don't know.
Read into what you like. If they give us another guest, we will bring whomever that is on, and we will be transparent. We will ask the questions like we asked last week. Because shit, man, if we're not asking those kind of questions, then we're buying into the propaganda. We are basically on puppet strings, and we don't want to do that. We will never do that on this show. Because that's not our job. Our job is to ask real questions to get real answers because, number one, that's what the fans want. We're fans. Bo's a fan. I'm a fan. And if we're not asking those questions, we're taking handouts.
It's crazy to me. And I tell myself this all the time, and I try to convey this to people who maybe don't watch the show, but we celebrate Cardinals football. We love covering this team, love watching games on Sunday. A lot of the players are guys that we really enjoy watching play football. But this season, it's been trying, man. It's been a team that it's tough to wrap your arms around. That's for sure. I saw in the comments we talked about it a little bit earlier with the Eno tweet. He sent this out before the episode aired tonight. Can't wait for Hard Knocks tonight. # nothing ever happened. Yeah, so we never really kind of got into that with the Eno Benjamin situation. Johnny Key take that off the screen? Because your boy doesn't know how to do it. There we go. It's off.
You know how to do it. We're self-producing tonight. We're giving producers the night off on Thanksgiving Eve, but we're working. Kids are in bed, and Bo and I would very much like an hour of our time back after watching that show. Would have loved to recap an episode. Should we just do a recap of House of the Dragon instead? Just House of the Dragon. I'll give HBO free publicity right now because what I just watched was not suited for the HBO I've come to love.
That was the actually Hard Knocks equivalent of the final season of Game of Thrones, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, that basically was it.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, are we going to become, is it going to become the Walking Dead where you just don't care about it any longer? It used to be a proud institution that everybody loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's on this show now? What's going on? Kyler Murray makes $230 million and is not featured in an in-season show. And I get he's hurt, but that's what people care about. Document that. Follow Kyler Murray around all week and see what he does and see what he's doing in rehab. Colt McCoy, it's been the Colt McCoy and Will Hernandez show, and I love those two guys. I mean, there's a chance neither guy's on the roster next year. They're flash in the pan Cardinals.
Yeah.
You guys should really get Eno on. He would never come on with us.
I don't think he would. I don't think the Texans would want that. I don't think Eno's I mean, we could ask. We could certainly ask, and we will. But I would bet that he might be able to get on PHNX Sun Devils. Maybe those guys. That might be a better end than us.
We could trick him. We could say, hey, let's talk about the coaching search. Not Cardinals is live and we get him. No, we don't do that. We're straight with our audience.
Yeah. It was a bummer, man. But yeah, we'll definitely do this next week. We'll do episode 4. But if we're spoon fed more crap, if they continue to pee on our leg and tell us it's rain, we might have to shut things down just for the integrity of our show, that we're not just sitting here and because we can't do that. This isn't sustainable. You and I just coming on here and ranting. And
it's not,
we already have to rant about every game.
Right. Bo and I want to spend time with our wives. That's one thing. But also, like, I want to hang out with you guys as much as I can, but like not talking about this. Not talking about like the production quality of the show, man. That was. Can we talk about the 2.5 seconds that Kyler Murray was in the episode today, where he was talking about Colt McCoy? He said Colt said this about Kyler. He's been great to work with. I know my role, so that was kind of nice. And then Kyler, you hear him, and you can like. That's what I think is funny about it because we've seen very little of him. That you can take the one line he might have said or just what he said. It's not a line, even though you think it might be produced lines. Yeah. He said, you play the quick game, speaking to Colt McCoy, almost like you play the quick game and then I play this game. And it's me completely trying to read into the very little that I heard from Kyler Murray in tonight's episode. Like, you play the quick game, but this is my game. Which, am I reading too much into it? I can't.
Because we know Colt's getting the football out as quick as possible, and in his 5 starts, he's gotten rid of the football.
I'm going to take you for face value, and okay. I believe that was said. I missed that because it was so fucking boring. But yeah, that makes sense. Like you put the ball, you're a distributor. Quick game is game manager. That's how I read that. You get the ball in your playmaker's hands. I look for the big play. Awesome. Kyler's going to probably start this weekend. That'll be it for Colt McCoy this year, assuming that Kyler doesn't get hurt again. I mean, Kyler didn't win that game Monday night unless it's a Herculean effort. But the Greg Dortch stuff was cool. Like, he cares, so I care about Greg Dortch. The Antonio Hamilton stuff was good, like his burned feet and stuff like that. I hadn't seen those photos. That was pretty messed up. And his wife, the honesty, like him getting that pick against the Saints and giving it to his wife. But again, that was two or 3 games ago. Like that, again, not relevant tonight when your team has had 2 incidents off the field in 7 days. Man, spaghetti Western would be an improvement than watching Hard Knocks. We should make a list of everything we'd rather watch right now than what we just watched. Jose saying Bosa stepped on Colt's hand. It's in the episode. Is it? I don't know. Like,
it is. Yeah. So they showed Bosa. It probably should have been flagged for a late hit. Not the play he's talking about, but they showed that immediately after, just kind of the bumps and bruises that Colt McCoy suffered throughout this game. And Cliff confirmed it today at his media availability, what he's dealing with: an elbow, a hand, he's got the knee. So Colt McCoy absolutely just banged up. Warrior went out there and played with all those injuries. But yeah, he got hit on a third down from Bosa pretty late, where he just kind of, and Bosa was pulling up on it, and it knocked Colt to the turf, and he might have fallen on his elbow, and then Bosa stepped on it, and he stepped on his hand, and we saw the hand on the broadcast.
Do you believe they will ask Kyler about video games? No chance.
No
chance. Maybe I thought maybe before the show started, 50-50, that they talk about his clan off the field, his FaZe clan or whatever that is, the gaming clan, and the overreaction, and just give some insight to it. No chance now. I'm not even convinced now we're going to get a Kyler episode. Kyler might have told the team and Hard Knocks and his people, like, I don't want to be a part of this. And like, what are they going to say? That he's not part of it so far. There's nothing that has featured him at all.
I mean, Carson Wentz isn't like he doesn't like to get in front of the cameras. And he had the cameras at his house last year. I gotta imagine they show him, and they have 6 more weeks of this. So I think that they absolutely do it. And to your point, as far as, the bye week, they're gonna definitely have to dig something up for the bye week.
It'll be a good week to go to the 52nd player on the team. Go to get. You know what we should do? We should do an in-depth look at all the guys on the practice squad, and just go and interview their high school coaches and talk to their middle school teachers. That's what I want to see. Have them going handing out turkeys for Thanksgiving. That's very much, that'll be something we see next.
You want the in-depth on Pharaoh Cooper?
Yeah, Pharaoh Cooper. His college journey to the NFL. That's what I want. I want to see anything Trace McSorley has got me super interested. I want to know more about Jonathan Ward's release. All this stuff. That's what I'm hungry for ahead of next week's Hard Knocks.
Yeah, a couple takeaways, and to following up on Brian's comment that was just posted up there for a little bit. The ending about Cliff calling out Buddha's comments, just saying he doesn't want to have players discuss effort to the media. I think that was probably something that they addressed, and it sounded like they addressed at the end of that one. I also thought in the locker room after the loss, I thought it was interesting that Cliff was basically saying, "We're not going to watch this game film." I'm sure they got to bring it back before this regular season finale, right? Yeah.
We're not,
right?
You're not going to watch the game film from the game that you just played? What? I guess because you do watch game film like the next day before you have your practice week.
We got a 3.5 hour flight from Mexico City. You can't watch it on that.
Everybody gets a DVD of the ass kicking they just took. Can we? Is that one of those burn the tape footage or burn the tape cliches? Get the VHS tape and light it on fire.
What do you think was better, the film from that game or this episode of Hard Knocks?
I would rather watch the Cardinals losing to the Seahawks 58-0. The broadcast from that game. That would be fun to go down memory lane. The game that got Ken Wizen on fire, than to watch that episode ever again. People are saying that they don't have an episode during the bye week. Well,
okay,
we are very blessed because of that. I think because it was a short week, they never planned on watching the film. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how that turns out for you. Cliff never seems pissed in the locker room after a bad loss. Just plays the nice guy role. This is who Cliff Kingsbury is. Like nothing that we've seen from Bo's time around him, from my time around him. This is who he is, for better or worse. So at least he's not faking it. And he is a genuine guy. He's a good dude. Is he a good head coach? I think we're getting our answer right now. We want to know how Johnny's day was on Hard Knocks next week. You will get it. Bo and I will do an in-depth, the diaper story. We're going to talk to you about how I got my car cleaned out, talk to you about, poop scoop in my yard, whatever you want to know. We're going to talk about it on next week's Hard Knocks episode. In all seriousness, I want everybody to go to gophnx.com, become a member, a diehard member, just under $60, cop a free hat, a free shirt every single year. It's not a one-off, every single time. Discounts to events. Come hang with us in the exclusive member Discord. And to top it all off, the Black Friday sale we got going on is flipping phenomenal. I'm talking like $1 tees. You can stack promos with discounts on promos on discounts. PHNX merchandise locker. Go to gophnx.com. What I would do is go to gophnx.com, become a member, and then just start to write down shit that you like. And then come Friday, I guarantee it's going to be for sale. Austin, I want to see some Andy Lee backstory next week. His days back when he was drafted in 1812. That's the stuff I'm watching for.
An Arizona Animal. He's hitting up kind of a throwback to the earlier episode from today where we're talking Sean Payton. 2 words,
Bam!
Jeff Ireland. There it is.
Bam!
Sean Payton watch. If you want more in-depth on the report today about Sean Payton and his interest, his eyeing of the Arizona Cardinals organization, potentially his next landing spot as a head coach, check out that episode. Like this episode, it helps us obviously grow our audience, get us out in front of more people. More people watch this video, the more videos we're going to make. And so like all those episodes, subscribe, and of course, listen to us wherever you find podcasts. I think we made the best of this one. And look at us. We're at 41 minutes into the episode. We're almost as long as the 45-minute Hard Knocks, the shortest all season.
This was much more riveting, and it's because of all of you. We love you all. We couldn't do this without everybody. The show has only gotten more and more and more appealing because of all of you. We're growing our audience every day because of everybody in these comments. We talk about what you want to talk about. We're the anti-Hard Knocks. We're back on Friday. I want everybody to have a tremendous holiday. Like and subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Like this video, as Bo mentioned. Subscribe to the PHNX Cardinals podcast. For Bo Brock, I'm John Uneventful. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everybody.